Hey, what up, world? So we're jumping here on a Bleacher Report article by Mr. Dan Favale once again. Came across him time to time, and if you look down, I have a couple videos on him, but we're pretty much in the opener of the NBA season for 2021. Pretty much has been around 10 games for each NBA team that's been playing around. Big news, we all know about James Harden and that mega trade with the Brooklyn Nets, Houston Rockets, Cavaliers, and Pacers all in the mix. Now, there has been some rumblings of trade rumors. So Harden's out of there. Victor Oladipo has finally been traded. That kind of leaves in a situation as to right now, is Bradley Beal going to get traded? Is Russell Westbrook? What's focusing in on the Washington Wizards? And as of right now, the Wizards are around 3-8 as in a record. And Russell Westbrook could mess up a couple of days, possibly a couple of weeks when it comes to his new recent injury. Now, there's been stated that the Washington Wizards are a more fluid and complete team without Mr. Russell Westbrook, and pretty much they need to blow it up or just rebuild a direction and retool with Bradley Beal. So Russell Westbrook will be one of the main targets in the NBA rumors within this season. Now, I've stated if the Washington Wizards have a losing record within pretty much within the All-Star break, that don't expect that they'll let go of Bradley Beal, but fully expect that they'll try to ship off Russell Westbrook in returns for younger players or just get him out of there. Now, it's still pretty young, still pretty early when it comes down to this, but we'll take it step by step. Let's look into these trade proposals and NBA teams that will love to trade for NBA contracts. So as number one, it's going to be the Houston Rockets contract. So pretty quick, they let go of James Harden. That 8-year experiment is over with. That era is gone with. And they're trying to ride new momentum. Now, personally for me, I did not like the trade whatsoever for the side of the Houston Rockets. I thought they should have gone in the direction of trying to obtain Ben Simmons and some young draft picks, if anything, from the Philadelphia 76ers. That was not the case. They went the route of pretty much obtaining 4 first-round picks, 4 first-round swap drafts when it comes to their draft picks, and some familiar faces, bringing the third team for Victor Oladipo. I'm not crazy about that. I do not like the blend for the Houston Rockets. I want them to rebuild as it is, and right now they're in that. I believe they're going to finish off this regular season by pretty much seeing how John Wall performs to build up his trade value. Mid-season, they're probably going to let go of PJ Tucker. A lot of NBA teams will be looking at into him. DeMarcus Cousins, they'll probably keep for the remainder of the season, if anything. Since it was a 1-year deal, if his trade value is going up, they'll probably let him go mid-season. But the Houston Rockets GM and organization wants to be competitive, wants them to try to make the playoffs, if anything. But as of right now, I fully expect the Houston Rockets to look what's in the market, because right now their team is somewhat of a mess. You're looking at a starting lineup of John Wall, Victor Oladipo, Eric Gordon probably still at the 3 as of right now, PJ Tucker at the 4, and then Christian Wood at the 5. Who's having a breakout season? Then DeMarcus Cousins off the bench with Daniel House and the crew. So they're still a pretty nice team, but in the Western Conference, and there's really no true star player. I don't like their direction, but it is what it is. So they're saying that Eric Gordon would be in that mix. So right now he's got 4 years, $75 million. Jeez. Yeah, PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon should be one of the first guys to go out of there when it comes to it. As of right now, anyone who would trade for Eric Gordon or PJ Tucker, that can go up in there. The LA Clippers could use an Eric Gordon on their team when it comes down to it. PJ Tucker, he's very flexible. Even the Brooklyn Nets could even use PJ Tucker on their franchise. Same thing when it comes to the 76ers, the Milwaukee Bucks, and more of those high-end Eastern Conference teams. Let's see, are there any trade proposals here? All right, so it looks like no trade proposals. Let me jump down here. All right, so deals from the teams that could use 2021 offseason flexibility. So Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon right now looks like he's been coming off the bench for the New Orleans Pelicans, trying to find a rhythm if he is going to start or not within the season. Eric Gordon is still a nice piece when it comes to New Orleans. He's a grittier type player, try to prove himself once again in the NBA, but I don't really know what's out there really in the market for Eric Gordon as of right now. Or Eric Bledsoe, my bad. Don't know if he'll be really into it. See, Dwight Powell from the Dallas Mavericks, he did come off a pretty big injury, lose pretty much missing the last 20 games of the last season. And Dallas could really use a healthy Dwight Powell and a healthy Kristaps Porzingis jumping into this season as of right now. 3 years, 32 mil bucks. Let's see. Pricey vets on divergent timelines. Okay, let me jump into here. So Blake Griffin pretty much has 2 years, 75 mil. He does have a player option to jump into one of his massive contracts. If you're the Detroit Pistons as of right now, you got to let go of Derrick Rose. You have to let go of Blake Griffin, and you got to rebuild your team. Jeremy Grant is pretty much averaging 24 points a game. He's top 3 as the most improved player in the whole league as of right now. So for the Detroit Pistons, you don't have a true direction. You need to work within the draft. You need to go young. And Blake Griffin, there are a couple of teams that could really use him if you're looking to Blake Griffin in the whole market. For example, if you're looking into the Western Conference side of things, you could go a direction for the possibly for the Portland Trailblazers. I'm not saying it's the right fit, but they need a star, quote unquote, they need a star big or star wing to play alongside CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard. And as the Portland Trailblazers right now, they still have a nice formidable team, but they could really use a third guy when it comes down to it. Now, I would have probably said the Brooklyn Nets before, but they got James Harden, so that's not the case. Besides from that, Blake Griffin is really going to have to push up his trade value. But when it comes to the Detroit Pistons, I fully expect them to keep Blake Griffin, Derrick Rose for this season, even though they're not going to make the playoffs. Al Horford and the OKC Thunder. So the Thunder right now are obtaining first-round picks, as Sam Presti's been, that's his cachet pretty much as it is. Now, they do have George Hill that they're not going to buy him out, but mid-season they are going to look to trade him for pretty much for probably 2 second-round picks or a young player, if anything like that. When it comes to Al Horford, he does have another 3 years left of his contract, and this is pretty much around $80 million. So no teams are any desperation mode to pick up Al Horford. I fully expect the OKC Thunder to keep him for at least one season. Kevin Love. Hey, it looks like Kevin Love's been on that quote-unquote trade market for the last 3 to 4 seasons. I've always said after the Cavaliers won the championship, they should have traded him away, and especially after LeBron James left in 2018. But they never pulled the trigger. I don't know what Cleveland's doing in their franchise, but they needed to let go of Kevin Love. They need him, get him out of there. But knowing the Cleveland organization, that probably won't happen until another 2 seasons because they have no true direction. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. Important but incredibly expensive players. And yes, sir, Elton Brand paid the you-know-what Alfred Tobias Harris last offseason. Not this one, but the one before, alongside with Al Horford. Luckily, they did get Al Horford's contract out of there. Shout out to Mr. Daryl Morey. But Tobias Harris, I believe he is overrated. He's still a nice player in the league, but paying him $30 million, outrageous. It's atrocious for that contract. And kudos to the Philadelphia 76ers being top of the Eastern Conference, but Tobias Harris, he's not worth that whatsoever when it comes down to it. If you're Ben Simmons, you need to work to become more of a scorer. You need to shoot the basketball, and you need to go in and give your team 25 points a game. Joel Embiid, you still got to take it down in the post. You got to work on your mental maturity, your leadership. And for a third player out there, Tobias Harris could somewhat be of that, but you pretty much need more of a wing that's more versatile. And pretty much, I can't put the nail in the coffin when it comes to a specific player. An ideal player would, of course, would be like a Donovan Mitchell. Would it be, for example, a Jaylen Brown, a Michael Porter Jr. But none of those players are going to get traded, so you're pretty much stuck in that position as of right now. Now, possibly, if you can throw a load of draft picks, Tobias Harris, and some of your young cats for possibly going for Bradley Beal, that could be ideal as well. But we're not going to jump the gun there. I don't expect the Philadelphia 76ers to find any suitors in the Tobias Harris trade market. D'Angelo Russell. And I told you guys, Minnesota needs to blow it up with that experiment of Karl Anthony Towns. His quote-unquote era is done with. It's been 6 seasons. You only made 1 playoff appearance, squeaking out the 8 seed because You brought in a workload of veterans of Tom Thibodeau, Jimmy Butler, Jamal Crawford, Taj Gibson, and credit to the Timberwolves. They were around a fourth or fifth seed beginning of that season, but Jimmy B got hurt. But besides that, they've never had a chance to recover. Andrew Wiggins is gone. Zach LaVine's been gone. Karl Anthony Towns is not an alpha. He's a beta. His time is gone with. So you need to let go of Cat. You need to let go of D'Lo. But knowing the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're probably going to run that for this season. And then last of the last, we do have Mr. Russell Westbrook. So he's one of the main targets right now who's probably going to get traded when it comes to the Washington Wizards. Now, credit, it is still young. It's only been a seventh of the NBA season as of right now. Russell Westbrook knows how to adjust. Same thing as last season. Last season, Russell Westbrook did adjust when he was with the Rockets with James Harden. So I'll give the benefit of the doubt. He does have 3 years left of his contract, $132 million. If you're looking to the league, who would want Russell Westbrook? Not a lot of suitors out there, especially the New York Knicks, who have around, I believe they're close to 500. I believe that they're around a 6-8 record, somewhere in that mix, and they had a good start. Even that team would not implode for Russell Westbrook. If you're the LA Clippers, you need a point guard, but Russell Westbrook has too much baggage. He does not have a high basketball IQ, so the Clippers would pass on him whatsoever. The Miami Heat, they would pass on Russell Westbrook. So Russell Westbrook right now is in a weird position. Not a lot of teams would even pick him up, not any starving teams as well. That's a bad look, because if you're Russ, you have to make this experiment work. You have to make the playoffs, if anything. And the Wizards know after this season, if anything, they're shipping Russell Westbrook out of there. And he's got to notice, James Harden's now on the Nets with Kevin Durant. They're most likely going to win a championship in the next season or two. If anything, 3. But Russell Westbrook, his legacy, his season, his career is pretty much on the line as of right now, being 31 years of age. His athleticism is somewhat dipping. His shooting has never improved. His IQ has never improved, and he's getting bounced around, being exposed. I'm very curious to see what happens with Russell Westbrook this season. Andrew Wiggins, the Warriors will be keeping him on. You do have Klay Thompson out for the regular season, so they're going to need Andrew Wiggins to pretty much progress, reach his potential, quote-unquote. He is 25 years of age. They're going to need him to pick it up more on a consistent basis and scoring to help out Steph Curry. Now, credit, the Warriors finally got Draymond Green back from injury, and Draymond Green's been the engine. He keeps things running. He sets up plays. He keeps the guys flowing. He gets the ball moving. He gets to pick up the ball in transition and feed it to Steph for the crew. And we've seen the Warriors. They feed off that. If they had Klay Thompson, they would be a top 3, top 4 team in the Western Conference. But Andrew Wiggins, I don't accept him. I do not expect him to be in trade talks, if anything. Not a lot of moving trade markets. Not a lot of moving trade pieces as well in the NBA. We're pretty much going to have to see a couple more games play out within the regular season. And then during All-Star break, we'll start to see possibly Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal being more of those talks as well. But besides from that, not a lot of news here in the NBA when it comes to trade rumors and diving in. But we'll keep it a little more when it comes up. Things will progress. I'm out.